Why anger is killing your sex life. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be me back in 2015.
I'm gonna tell you about a woman whose heart is sunshine, whose body burned hot. I'm gonna tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves.
Welcome to the C-Note Show, everyone. Brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains. It's Friday, 11:03, 2 minutes behind already. Look at this, 11:03 on Friday, July 3rd, 2020. I like to start on time, but it's Friday. Who's going to be a couple minutes late? That's cool. We were talking to men all around the country already and all around the world. We, of course, have Patrick here today. Love you guys so much. Patrick from New Zealand. And our hardcore regulars here, the Friday before 4th of July. It's the 3rd. It's a bank holiday today. So, bankers are off, but the rest of the world keeps going on. The rest of the world keeps moving. And you're here because you want to connect with other men in this tribe, other men that are here to do your daily work as a man, to ground yourself in your own behavioral confidence, emotional grounding, emotional confidence, and your spiritual confidence as a man of how do I move forward in the world? And how do I understand what my spouse is going through, or my ex, or my soon-to-be ex, when she says, I love you, but I'm not in love with you, or I want space, or you've heard the D word, or you're afraid of the D word coming. That's why you're here. Or like some of our one-on-one clients, Cynthia, they've already heard the D word and maybe they're past that and they want to learn how to not make the same mistakes in the next relationship and to also show up as their own hero, your own hero in your life and the man of her dreams, right? A little hyperbole to start us off. The man of her dreams and the hero of your own life. And the only woman allowed in this show is Miss Cynthia Cruz, my partner in crime, professional coach who gives us the grounded, non-biased, amazing, professional, feminine perspective. Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, good morning. I just have to tell you that the journey you are all on is inspiring and humbling and makes me every day want to be a better person and a better woman and show up more. I am deeply gratified to be here. So thank you for having me.
Yeah, I agree with Cynthia. I'm so grateful every day for this tribe, for my own self. This is where I get to bring my stuff as well, right? And I have a local men's group. I have men that I consider mentors, and I have men shoulder to shoulder with me, and I have men that I help out of the mud on a daily, every single day and weekly basis as well. And it's so fulfilling. And I know you guys that are here realize that as well. You want to be shoulder to shoulder with that man next to you, that Spartan next to you, to hold up a shield that helps each other, or to reach down into the mud and pull each other up out of the mud when we need to, because we're all in the mud at some times. And the mud this week, our theme of this week is how anger is killing your sex life. Why anger is killing your sex life. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want to be me back in 2015 when anger was definitely ruling my life on a day-to-day basis. You want to be a new man. You are the same man, and now you're starting to rise. Hopefully you're not exactly the same as you were yesterday if you saw this show yesterday, or you're not exactly the same as you were 11 weeks ago when we started the show. This is the end of our 11th week of shooting. Phenomenal response on the forums and on YouTube, and you guys make it possible. You guys bring in your stories here, make it possible, and you're phenomenal leaders for each other. The men that are here right now. Tim, good to see you. Welcome in. Ruben and Randy and John and Patrick and Jason and Hans. Hans, you changed your name, so I don't have to say Andrew anymore. I can just say Hans. Hans and Dave's here again. Look, good to see you, Dave. And Andy's here as well, of course, from Spain. I believe that's Andy from Spain. So in this show, first of all, I'm going to bounce over to our opening screen here. I love showing this. Here we do our daily work, and there's a phenomenal picture of a lion and why anger is killing your sex life. And we've got a couple of comments from the forum, a couple of amazing posts from the forum, which we always start with. And if you haven't been here, if this is your first time watching the show, and we dive deep into the stuff, right? We share our possible shame, we share our pains, and we then bounce off the bottom of the pool with a perspective and a plan and tools of exactly how to move forward with the pain in your life right now so you can be that confident, mojo-filled man. So cool. Here's our start of today. I appreciate the knowledge I've obtained to reach a deeper level of masculine energy moving forward, and also appreciate having brothers like Jason Bradbury to deliver such rich knowledge in a manner that I'm able to grasp. Jason yesterday told me that he spent 15 hours over the past 2 days talking about sex with men. Jason's a specialty in sex and tantric sex, and he's taught classes on that. And I appreciate him being a leader in our forum and in our tribe and here on the show. And he's here today. In case we have any particularly tantric focused sex questions now, then he can jump in. He's got his day off from his day job today, so I'm happy he's here. This man in the forum says, I understand that my knowledge and understanding of the sacred masculine is pretty limited, but I can start looking to achieve those levels. Looking at myself honestly, I understand that I've been emoting feminine energy my whole life. That comes from being raised in a more dominant matriarchal household, and by me believing that emotions should run my life. My goal is not to eliminate that part of myself, the feminine part of myself, but to keep the positive and establish a core foundation of a deeper, stronger masculinity. So, of course, guys, here on the show, we integrate all sides of ourselves, what we label as masculine and feminine. We've spoken about in the show, and Cynthia loves to give us, and we appreciate her feminine perspective in that sense. And Jason Bradbury has talked about how we can integrate those powers together as well. And that's one thing that we've shown on this show this week. So if you haven't watched the shows this week, go back and watch the shows, because we talk deeply about that all week long. And this man is honoring the fact that I really wanted to bring this in as well, because he says that he was raised in a more dominant matriarchal household. And I don't know if, like me, you guys had a mother that was like kick-ass in business. She had her own job. She was in the corporate world. Or if you didn't have that type of situation, what mom's role was in your life, or what feminine teachers' roles were in your life, or the movies that you saw, or the sitcoms that you saw, or the commercials that you saw, or the social media influence that you've been around, right? And so we're not here at all to bash women. We love women. We love relationship. And we believe we want to learn how to be phenomenal in modern relationship. And we're honest about the influences that are around us now, and we're around us in every man, including myself, as we grew up in society nowadays. It's very different than previous generations, right? So I love that this man is calling it out, and that he was raised in a more dominant matriarchal household. Cynthia, let me actually bounce that question off of you. What was your household like? If I were to say dominant matriarchal, what would you say? What were the influences with your folks, and what did you see from your brother, your brother and your father's point of view with your mother and culture basically today? Give us some feedback from you personally.
Thank you for asking that question. So my mom actually chose to stay home for a lot of the time that my brother and I were growing up. But she also had her master's degree in special education. So there was like this tremendous push-pull energy of, her valuing, that mothering role of cooking and like welcoming us home from school. And yet at the same time, I was always receiving the message to be like you got to be a strong woman. You got to be powerful in the world. You got to get out. You got to earn your money. You got to make your way. You got to not rely on anyone else. So I think she was kind of struggling with those two polarities in herself. And I saw my brother struggle a little bit with that too, like wanting very much to be that masculine in the world and push against the world and make things happen, and feeling a little constrained, like he was too much, too angry. If you break the rules, your life is over. And I think that was really, really tough for him to feel that power in himself and not feel like there was an outlet or true guidance with that, as much as my mom and dad probably tried to do that with him.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's pretty consistent. Even there was already a post in the chat by Hans about his upbringing. And gentlemen, one thing, so I have clips today, again, from Mark Manson, John Wineland. We've got some Wayne Dyer. I've got Brene Brown lined up. Did I say Jordan Peterson as well lined up today, if we have time to get to those? And I'd love for you to post in chat of your experience. And one thing Brene Brown talks about is how we move through shame. One of the ways we move through shame is to call it out, right? Shine a light on it, and then share it with other people. And here we call it taking it to the men, or as in Dr. Robert Glover would say in his book, No More Mr. Nice Guy, take it to the men. Or Wayne Levine and Hold On to Your Nuts, take it to the men. And so put it into the chat if you've experienced something and you want to share that. That's what we're here for, guys. We're here live as well to chat, and you can privately chat one another if you want. So that's something that we're here for. Let me share some of this other post. So other post says, hello, fellow great men. I decided to post on the eve of moving on to the next chapter of my life. Tomorrow, my kids and I move into a new house. My wife and I separated late May, and we've been moving apart since the I love you, but I'm not in love with you early this year. And then the pain of her pulling away. I was always fearful of divorce, of losing her and my blended family, splintering, and most of all, letting my kids down. Well, I'm not afraid anymore. I'm optimistic. I'm on a journey to be true to me and my compass and rediscover me and the joy and happiness that only comes from you, that only comes from yourself as a man. So one thing I want to do is I want to open it up, and I know Jason's on here today and other gentlemen that want a chance to come on. Today's Friday. I'd love for you to have a chance to share either a win this week, right? That's what we're here in this tribe, is to share with each other as well. If you don't want to come in live, that's totally fine. If you want to turn off your video, that's fine. If you want to post in chat, that's fantastic. And let's open up with Cynthia. So Cynthia, what's a win for you this week? Or what's something that you want to honor that you've seen in the energy from the men this week? It's Friday. Let's bring some positivity into the start of the show here, please.
Well, I am blown away by reading the Facebook forum and watching, men post their questions, their wonderings, their stories. And then there's before I can even, process and reflect, there's already 5 guys with comments, holding up this gentleman. And then before I know it, there's 10 comments. And I'm in this place of feeling so held in this space of this tribe and this community of so many men, of so many people, bringing a vision to life, moving a vision forward into something that is truly great, not only for, you as an individual, for me as an individual, but our families and our community and our world at large. And that lights me up and inspires me every day of how can I be a part of that, and how can I not only be, a woman in that energy and just honoring what you all are doing, but also how do I move forward and how do I add significance and impact to such an incredible group of men.
Oh my gosh, Cynthia, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. So Jason, yeah, come on in. You raised your hand. I'd appreciate it.
Hey guys, happy Friday, happy 4th. The win this week is, sorry, I'm chasing the 3-year-old again here today, literally walking after her right now across the yard. But so the win this week is, I might have to mute and go get her. Where's she going? The win this week is really in your Stop, Grow, Ask tool. I feel really good about calling the stop portion mastered. We've spent a lot of time together. We've spent passionate, intimate time together, and then she doesn't talk to me for a day or two because she's in a place where she's trying to figure out her space. And now that I've been educated that that's what's going on in her mind, I just let her go, let it happen and go, we'll talk again when she's ready. So, I want to reach out. I want to say, what are you doing and what's going on and how you feeling? And want to come over. And instead I've rephrased things to waiting until she texts me and then say, I'd like if you join us for dinner tonight. I'm, smoking pork tenderloin. And she's like, okay. And she's been accepting that. Sometimes she stays for 30, 45 minutes. Sometimes she stays for 2 hours. And there's been a couple times where she was supposed to spend the night and she starts to get overwhelmed and leaves. And I want to go, well, no, wait, stay. I want you to stay. Come on, help. And I just go, okay, well, I'll see you tomorrow. And so for, I guess, the guys that are starting the process, the hardest thing for me was to apply that stop behavior. I got a lot of growing and a lot of asking to figure out, but I really feel good about just stop and stop reaching and grasping and bothering and let her come to you. And man, it's changed the dynamic significantly over the last few weeks.
So good. Thank you, Jason. So good. That's phenomenal. Absolutely awesome. I'll show that page here. For those of you that haven't seen that, what Jason's referring to is the 3 phases, what I call 3 phases of coaching, or stop and then grow and then ask. And you can't ask for anything until you've moved past stop and you're deep into grow. And that's what Jason's talking about here is, some men, Jason, real fast, if you don't mind, some men would say, well, yeah, you're not upholding your boundaries with her. You're not standing up for yourself with her. And obviously they ask, like you said, we're not in the ask phase yet. So how do you look at that as yourself? How do you reconcile that within your own self and your value and your integrity as a man, knowing that there's phases of this work? What would you say to that?
Well, your 3-month thing. So a week or two ago, we talked about things. I didn't mean to say 3 weeks, 3 months. Your kind of 3-month timeline and how things kind of go through phases really landed with me, because it was 3 months to the day, to D-Day, where she invited me over to hang out and be intimate with her, and so that landed really well in my head to go, this is going to take time. And so I need to figure out my nuts and my boundaries, and I need to figure out, my mission, and I need to continue to work on that long-term, lifelong growth. But it's not all, you don't boil the ocean in a day. And so, I've set the timer in my head for September 1st, another 90 days, and I'm enjoying the phase that I'm in, and I'm really just focused on the first step. Just stop being needy, stop being a little boy, stop being monkey brain, and enjoy it. Let the space create, and then in the next 90 days, really focus on the grow aspect, and then in that next 90 days, hopefully be able to really ask for what I want, and be in a different phase at a different level.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, love it so much, man. Thanks for coming in. Fantastic. Yeah, awesome. I'm going to press pause on you. Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it. So Dave, come on in, please, and share with us. What would you like to tell us? What would you like to share with us?
Well, a couple wins this week, actually. I'd like to start with being on your show on Monday, and with what I posted on your forum, laying my pretty much my whole life out for the group to see. I've changed all of those negative things in my life into positives, and I no longer dwell on them. I look at them all as small victories in my life, and I've become stronger from them all. The other win this week, for the past 3 months since my wife left, I've been doing my work here. So I'm working on, my spiritual, emotional growth, behavioral. But I've also been working on my physical growth. And so I've been watching my diet, exercising, things like that. And I did my weigh-in on Wednesday. And as of Wednesday, I've lost 30 pounds in 3 months.
Wow. Congrats, man.
I'm kind of rocking it. So yeah, those are my wins for the week. Yeah, and I'm feeling good.
So cool. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it, man. Phenomenal. So Cynthia, I'd love for you to jump in and give some feedback. What happens in your body as a woman when you hear these men owning themselves and having patience and perseverance and timeline, right? We're not trying to, like Jason said, boil the ocean in a day, right? So, and I know that there's men on here, and certainly I was this way back in 2015, 2016, thinking I could make these changes overnight. And I hired my own coach. I went to a retreat myself. I read the books. I was reading books constantly for about 9 months, which is a part of my journey. As many books as I could get my hands on, one after the other, and writing my intentions, writing what I want. So Cynthia, when you hear these men really leaning into life and this work, how does that hit you inside your body, please?
Well, I love the metaphor of we're not trying to boil the ocean in a day. That really hit home for me. And trying to boil the ocean in the day is the exact opposite of the energy that Jason and Dave just modeled. And gosh, Dave, as you were talking, you were talking about those like little victories. All I could see in front of me was this like mountain hike and like these little flag posts along the way. And it gave me that feeling of when you are on like a really long hike. Like I grew up in the Northeast, and hikes there tend to be like you go like this up boulders, and instead of being in that like, oh, this is hot and how am I going to get through this? And I just felt so in peace in your presence, and like, this is okay and this is safe, and it's just one little moment at a time. And I also felt that with Jason. I felt like I could really just rest into the space he was creating. And I honestly didn't like sit down to be on this show this morning in the like resting in space. It was like, oh, I should be doing this, this, and this. And to be given the gift of just experiencing that, like, here's the space to rest in. Here are the little flags. It's like I'm feel myself again. And it feels more like pink energy versus like the boiling ocean energy. So.
Oh my gosh. So that reminds me, I've got two things right now, one from Jordan Peterson and one from John Wineland that talks exactly about this. Okay. So I want to jump into Jordan Peterson. I'll share the preview screen right here and honor this link I've shared this week as well. This is a different clip from the same video. So I'm going to actually put this in the chat for you guys right now. And I'm going to share 2 minutes from Jordan Peterson right here. The first bit is about burning off the dead wood in your life. And the second bit is about telling the truth and how it's hard to tell the truth. It takes a warrior to tell the truth.
You could be. That's me. The truth is something that burns. It burns off dead wood. And people don't like having their dead wood burnt off often because they're like 95% dead wood. And believe me, I'm not being snide about that. It's no joke. When you start to realize how much of what you've constructed of yourself is based on deception and lies, that is a horrifying realization. And it can easily be 95% of you. Things you say, things you act out. People do it every day. They talk to themselves. They see themselves as they'd like to be. It's allegiance to the truth, but the truth is a strange thing. It's a very strange thing. Often the hero in a story has to assimilate their dark side before they're capable of telling the truth. Right, in The Hobbit, for example, he has to become a thief. Right, because he has to get tough. That's the thing. That's the thing. Also, the thing about telling the truth is that it's not for the naive. Not at all. And partly it's because it burns off dead wood. It's partly because it hurts people's feelings. It's a sword. So you have to be a warrior. Want to know what you're thinking?
Oh my gosh, so cool. One thing he said in there, which we talked about yesterday, is you have to assimilate your dark side before you can move forward into truth and move forward into being that integrated man in the world, an integrated man in your relationship. Yesterday, we talked about the anti-hero, and the anti-hero is one that's fallible, that sometimes acts in a shitty way. Sometimes he has shit behavior and shit patterns. But at the core, he's a good man that's improving himself, moving forward in the world. And he lives by his integrity when it counts, right? When he needs to swoop in and save his own self, his family, those people around him, he does so. Now, does that mean that we're always perfect in a relationship? Hell no. None of us are perfect in a relationship. However, if we have a vision, if we're moving toward that adventure and within our own battle in life, in the world, that can pull us forward. I love how Cynthia quotes that pain pushes until vision pulls. And including myself, I believe every single man here has come to this work because pain pushed us to this work. And now what our goal is, and like the men that have already shared, Jason and Dave, of course, and everybody else in the chat, and Cynthia, I'd love for you to honor our chat here in a second. We're here and keep moving forward and showing up to do this daily work as men because vision is now pulling us forward. Vision of who we want to fucking be in the world, vision of who we know we can be and who we can be in relationship with tribe of other men that are doing this work as well. One thing I realize is that, so like old friends or men that I just meet on a daily basis, or let's say in Rotary Club, other men that you just kind of stumble across are really just, they're at like level 0, at level 0.1 in their truth and in their vision and in their adventure in the world. And fucking guys here, we're at level 1, 2, 3, our bottom drawer emotions. So Cynthia, I'd love your feedback and honor our men that are on right now and honor our chat, please.
so there was a couple comments just about what it was like to, have dad energy growing up. Jason said he had very much like a servant dad, and that you were supposed to sacrifice yourself for your family. And that was a really hard model to have and then feel any strength in. And John was saying, hey, awesome, Jason, I'm so inspired. Harry said, hey, well done, Dave, you've inspired me. And Jason also said, which I deeply resonate with as a woman, is truth, like your truth. It's never wrong, and it truly is really sexy. And Jason said, believe it or not. And I will say, believe it or not, it truly is grounding to a woman, attractive, and a gift.
Yeah, thank you, Cynthia. You and I have shared some stories in this show, certainly about how I brought my truth forward in our relationship when we first started getting together. Jason, I'd love for you to jump in. Do you have a story? Do you have a short story for us, or want to give us some feedback on and extrapolate truth is never wrong and really sexy, believe it or not? Jason, come on in. Yeah, please.
Well, I shared it on the forum, but when I first got divorced, I dug into pickup artistry. I dug into all this alpha male stuff, and shortly after working in this work, I was just tired of trying to put on a facade. And I was on a date with a woman, and the first dates are always kind of uncomfortable. And I'm sitting there trying to formulate how to impress her. And she asked me a question. I honestly don't remember what the question was about, but I looked at her. I just breathed really, really deep. And I think it was just this moment of, I'm fucking tired of hiding. And I just said to her, I said, I really want to impress you. And in this moment, I really wanted to make up a story to make you think I'm really, really awesome. That I stopped. And I think we sat across from each other for like 5 minutes. I think she fiddled with her keys in her purse a couple times, like, I'm going to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, she probably was uncomfortable.
And then just the honesty in our conversation after that was amazing. And we ended up spending the night together, and it was one of those most amazing nights.
Hold on, pause. You like let out where's the truth come in? So you let her fiddle with her keys for a bit, and you fucking grounded yourself, right? So then how did you go from there to you're going home together? Like, what were you honest about? What did you bring into the space?
That I was really scared about my future and where I was going. I think that was the gist of it. That I didn't know who the hell I was at that point, and I was trying to figure it out. I think every time I was on a date, I wanted to be that man of purpose, and I'm in a direction. Look at me. I'm look at me. Look how powerful I am.
Sure. Okay. I gotta stab in now, Jason. I gotta stab in. Okay. So what you just said was, I shared with her that I was afraid, and then we went home and fucked. Like that kind of. I'm gonna call a little bit of bullshit, because there's gotta be some masculine like framing after that. Okay. Because that's yeah. Go for it, man. Give us the rest of the story.
All right. It's kind of interesting that I hopped over that. That's interesting. So there was a time in the conversation that night when I spoke another truth, which was, man, I want you to come home with me tonight.
Yeah, fuck, there we go. Yeah.
It wasn't any more complicated than that. It really wasn't. It was a truth that in that moment, I wanted nothing more than to be inside her body and her soul and her spirit and everything. It was a very honest truth. I think her jaw dropped a little bit. I don't know if any man had ever said that.
Yeah,
that kind of became the model of my dating life after that. I spoke it. So thanks for bringing that out, Jeff. I know you know that of me.
Yeah. So I think it's unconscious competence. It's, you don't even know that you're doing it. I think a lot of times, Jason, because you have practice. That leads into a John Wineland clip I'll say in a moment. But Jason, yeah, the like fucking owning yourself. I think what you did unknowingly, or you didn't present all the way to us until I pushed you, right, was you dove into vulnerability, and then you came back into your presence of, I want to own you. I want to be in your energy. I want to own this space. I want to be sexual with you. I'm attracted to you. Because like you said, every other first date was probably fucking tiptoeing and dancing and wanting to impress her, right? And you did the opposite. You're like, you know what? I really want to impress you, but actually I'm kind of terrified of that. And I'm not sure exactly where I'm going in life, but what I know right now is I want to be with you right now. And I'm attracted to you right now. And you owned your fucking passion. And she just wanted to have a great date, right? So a woman that maybe is looking for a husband on the first date probably isn't going to be into that. But a woman who wants to have a great time and be in the moment with you right now, like obviously ate that shit up, and she wanted to be in your space and in that energy. Cynthia, give us some feedback, please. I'm like, where is this going to go if I kind of stab into Jason here? Cynthia, give us some feedback on what Jason really, what bloomed in Jason there and what he shared with all of us, please.
Yeah, I would. That energy of that, bottom drawer, this is what I really want, is, and the truth of that is so it's like gives me life when I hear that coming from a man. And, I know many of you are dealing with partners who are kind of shifting to the side and putting up shields when you send out that spear of this is you. It's like you I want to be with in this moment. But aside all that, beneath the shifting and the shields that are put up, I have to tell you, it is so amazing to be on the other end of someone looking at you, of that masculine, grounded, heart-centered masculine looking at you and saying, it's you. Like, I want to be with you in this moment. That's, it's amazing.
Oh, thank you, Cynthia. I love that. Yeah. And Patrick said in the chat, the truth is pitiless, indifferent to all but the purity of its own self-evidence. The truth of knowing who you are and why you are here is the greatest 2 days in anyone's life. Oh, right. So knowing who you are, learning who you are is a great day, and why you're here are the two greatest days in anyone's life, Patrick says. The day you were born and the day you learned why, the day you figured out why. Love that so much. I'm going to share this. That segues beautifully, Jason, into John Wineland talking about practice, being in our masculine essence, he calls it, or tethered to consciousness. And what he means by masculine essence is present. Okay, what you just described, Jason, and you're so good at this, and you've taught classes on this that I think you just kind of didn't even know, right? You just did it. And that's what John Wineland's going to explain to us right now, of how to do that, how to be connected to present consciousness and to withstand the feminine storm within her and within your own self. Like, how do I fucking handle my own storm of anger and emotional waves within my own self and with her? That's what John Wineland's going to share with us right now.
I'm a man, you're a man, most men have a masculine essence. And I have to be connected to that essence in order to withstand the rigors of intimacy and feminine, feminine energy and all of those things. If I don't, the storm's of
that is
feminine
energy, yeah.
which men have especially our generation, have just as strongly as women. Men can lose their shit just as strongly as women.
You know what's interesting? You just reminded me of something. I learned so much from my fabulous guests like you, but I think it was the last time I interviewed John Gray. We were talking about testosterone and masculine energy, and he said when a man is angry, that's the most feminine he will ever be. And that's when his testosterone plummets. And I was like, what? No, when you're like kicking ass and throwing shit across the room and putting your fist through the drywall and like going nuts, like, no, man, you're like being too much of a man. You're too masculine. It's like, no, it's the exact opposite. That's ultra feminine.
Wow, yeah.
Because he's lost his testosterone's dropped and he's lost his grip on his masculine energy.
Yeah.
And he's being overrun by his emotions. And when you're overrun by emotion, at least on the negative side, which I think we'd consider that rage and outbursts like that negative, that's when you're your most feminine. I was like, weird.
Well, if you think about it this way.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah. If my masculine, your masculine, the masculine, a woman's masculine, is the part of us that is witness, that never changes, right? We talked about this last time, right? So masculine practice at its essence is me resting as consciousness and just feeling eternity, right? The more I do that, actually the more testosterone, the more dopamine my body makes, the more centered I get. But there's a chemical reaction that happens. They're finding this in neuroscience, man. They're going to prove this really clearly very soon. So if I'm resting as masculine, if I'm resting in my masculine essence, all it means is that I'm deeply connected to consciousness. And if I can embody that, then you'll actually feel it through me. You'll feel like, wow, this is a conscious man, or this is a present man, or this is a deep man, right? And because I've been practicing it so much now that it's now a trait. Well, if I'm resting, if that's my go-to trait, that's my state, and I have emotions, I freak out, I have fears and all of that, if I'm witness to those things, then I'm in my masculine witnessing my feminine, right? Whatever, whether it's vulnerability, I'm witnessing it. If I'm getting on the train of that, meaning feeling it fully and abandoning this idea that I'm witness to the feminine, my feminine emotional body, then I will lose my masculine ground completely, which is what most of us do. We've never trained to do the opposite. So in the first part, we were talking about how you practice this. Well, as a masculine practitioner, you fully feel that vulnerability. Like, I'm scared, my heart's breaking, I'm afraid you're going to leave me, I'm afraid you don't love me like I love you. I mean, you own all those things. But you've got this tether in consciousness. And that tether in consciousness, the feminine, will feel like ground. Right? And it's like a meditation.
Yeah, so it's a constant meditation. It's a constant coming back to this practice of feeling present, feeling ground, not falling into anxiety, not letting it take you over, not trying to dump that on your woman like she's your therapist. Right? That was a mistake I made in the past, was to have her wear the hat of my therapist, which is a really bad idea. I mean, if I'm blah, 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 chatting away with all my anxieties, according to John Wineland, David Data, all the research that we're seeing now as far as what happens with my testosterone, I'm moving more into my feminine, and that's killing polarity in the relationship, right? Sexual polarity. And like John Wineland says in some of his other videos, she doesn't want to fuck that. She doesn't want to fuck that. So I'm like, okay, I have to ask myself, why am I in intimate, monogamous, committed, passionate relationship if I'm having her wear a hat that she doesn't like? It kills sexual polarity and sexuality and doesn't want to make her fuck, she doesn't want to fuck me. Like, wow, we cannot make our woman everything. We cannot try to make her wear every hat in our relationship. And I so made that mistake in the past, and I had no idea. I was doing that. So I'm so happy to be unfolding these things for you guys. And to be blunt, John Wineland, and I'd love for your feedback, gentlemen. John Wineland really, the most succinctly that I've seen from any practitioner talk about how to stay tethered to our presence and our masculinity, own the shit that's going on in ourself, and how that creates a pregnant pause, a positive tension, a positive space with her and you, where you don't really need to do anything. Okay, the work is what you did in your morning routine. The work is what you've been doing when you've done that meditation, when you've been writing, when you're doing your morning kingly plan like we teach on this show. So I'd love your guys' feedback on that. And Cynthia, help me introduce also this weekend. We talked about this morning in preparation for the show, how if we are concerned about this weekend, we're going to be in front of family, we're going to be probably with our spouse, maybe it's contentious. You know, we're trying to be a good co-parent, as, you know, Ruben talked about yesterday as well. And Ruben's on the way to the beach today and is going to be a co-parent for, you know, part of today and part of tomorrow. Absolutely. And so other gentlemen are in that spot too. So help me introduce what you'd like men to touch into moving into this weekend, please.
Well, thank you. I think sometimes there's a momentum in holidays or the way that we mark time as a culture in different countries. And sometimes I feel like there's kind of a forgetting that like, oh, it's just going to be able to show up at a certain situation and there's going to be fireworks and there's going to be a bonfire and everything will be fine. And then lo and behold, like at least I've noticed family stuff is always still right there. There's always the desire to put us in the box that people perceive of us. Or someone not being willing to show up and just enjoy the moment. And so wanting to offer that with intention, with vision for the weekend to come, knowing that those energies are still there and we can always make a choice ahead of time how we want to perceive that or act in that or feel that or take a break from that. And to me, that seems like incredible leadership. There have been many times I've walked into holidays and family situations where suddenly I feel awash in the ocean and the emotional storm of that. And it feels a lot better to come in with a plan of some sort.
Yeah. So gentlemen, do you have a plan of this weekend when you're maybe going to be around your spouse, if it's contentious right now, or a plan to be around your family and they're kind of like level 0 or level 1 and you want to stay tethered to your own, as we've talked about on today's show. And, you know, Cynthia just said, and Jason's talked about our masculine essence. Yeah. Ruben, please go for it.
So my plan is focusing on that sacred masculine, not staying to myself, not being outgoing, but trying to, stay towards myself, build up that masculine polarity, and, just observe, be the watcher. If I'm at a point where people are interacting with me, then I can be playful. But more than anything is to be the watcher, bring that side of me that I want for myself, is that masculine side. I find that now is a great opportunity. It's almost like being the scientist, like you say in your audiobook, where I can, just do this and see how it goes. And then the next situation, do it again, because that's what I want. And I have a goal to get to that sacred masculine, deeper masculine. And I know that being the watcher, being the observer, not looking for it, like Jason said, not trying to be understood, but understand. And that's the position that I'm going to walk in.
Love it so much. Oh, so good. So good, right? Stephen Covey, first seek to understand before you try to be understood, right, Ruben? So good. And being the masculine watcher, and if shit hits the fan or if something pushes into you, try to be humorous about it. Like if you get those confidence tests or congruence tests or shit tests, as we talk about, right? Either you ignore it, basically, right? Not ignore the person, but ignore that particular comment, or you agree and amplify and kind of make a joke out of it. Like those are the two best strategies to handle when someone's really like testing you, or you're kind of getting a shit test, especially from her, right? Especially from her. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah. Jason says, right on, Ruben, just stop and watch. You can always talk about the shot test, the shit test later. You can talk about the test later. Exactly. Thank you, Jason. You don't want to stack, right? You can always bring something up later if it crossed a boundary, right? If it's something that's violating safety in the issue, like a kid is running across the street or someone's just like going crazy, yeah, you deal with it right then. But I love that, Jason, that you can always wait till later otherwise if it's not an absolute emergency. Totally good.
Jeff, I just wanted to say that ever since I've been starting to do this over the last few days, I see a dramatic shift in her attitude. Like, the more I retract and create space, the more she wants to ask me questions. So it's kind of like taking out the little boy that's saying, like, hey, I'm here, you know? And like, I'm stomping around like, I'm here. I am here. I am who I am. I don't need to announce myself anymore.
Man, fucking A, Ruben. Love it, dude. Love it. So Cynthia, so let's flip the coin over for 2 minutes. And I want to call out, right, when a woman, and do you help me with this, right? Because when a woman feels that space, that positive tension of the man stepping back, owning himself, being tethered to presence, and she moves toward that, is she always going to be positive from then on? Is it like everything's fixed and from then on she's just this positive, right? So what happens? What's the ebb and flow? What's the tide like in a woman's world? Just so we can call that out here and call out some truth in that arena, please.
It's a wonderful question. I think the tide analogy is very spot on. We've talked on this show about there's a pie that's like the basic relationship needs that a woman has. There's 7 pieces, and whether she's sourcing that all in herself or she's looking to you to fulfill those sections, she's always kind of reacting from, well, that space she's moving towards you, and then this other space, she's not as developed in, so she might step back. And that space, that's starting to feel really good, and so she moves forward. And then she might draw back. But I think just witnessing the push and pull of the tide is an incredible practice. And I would say, even from the feminine side of point of view, in interacting with the masculine, she also has to practice watching your ebb and flow. And it's very different, but it's kind of there's a closeness of partnership and relationship. And then there's the warrior in you who moves out into the world. And then you come home and you connect. And then there's your purpose, and you go out and you come home and connect. So I think in both parts of relationship, we're holding that space for each other.
So I was reading that Hans had posted it. So Cynthia, that holding that space for each other, and Hans talks about that she's following and has these pretty absolute boundaries, his wife. She's following some different psychologists that talk about not to find the Minotaur in her boundary of labyrinth. Yeah, so Joseph Campbell in Hero with 1,000 Faces talks about the story that's perpetuated throughout time of the Minotaur within the labyrinth. And what that is like a pushing away, a shunning away of all of our disowned pieces of ourselves that go become the Minotaur, either literally in the stories, if you see them that way, or emotionally within our own selves. And I think that's what Hans is referring to here. And he says, it's hard to joke and goof around with her about those things because she has these, what appears to be absolute hard boundaries about everything, but he still acts light around her, but not as spontaneous. I know I should just cut loose and say whatever I want, but it's a minefield. So Cynthia, give him some feedback here in our last minute of the show. And, I'll say, first of all, Hans, it's about dancing up and down the stairs, being appropriate, but still like dancing into humor, dancing into being yourself. But it's not about trying to blow someone out of the water, right? It's not like, I'm going to say whatever I want to say, F her, blah, Obviously, that is just sprinting through the minefield instead of maybe, okay, I know that this half step is kind of safe, quote unquote, or she's not going to like lose her shit, but it's the edge. So it's where's the edge? Where's our edge? I'm not going to stand still. I'm not going to run away, but I'm going to dance with the edge. That's what I would encourage. But so, Cynthia, give him some feedback here in our last few seconds of the show, please.
Thank you for that. So you started the show, Jeff, with like like the edge of humor and like pushing in and inviting, everyone out in their own like shadowy, giggling behind the scenes type of way. And I think the purpose behind humor is everything. And I think that edge is found when, like it's very human that sometimes we process anger or embarrassment through humor. And so just being in purpose of what that humor is supposed to do, that it's not a way to alleviate kind of like, oh, I've been so frustrated and now I feel better. It's more of an inviting playfulness and lightness and exploring the moments of that.
Oh, that's so good. Differentiating, like, why am I bringing humor in? Is it to, dump, or is it to invite? I love that. So good. Phenomenal. Thank you, Cynthia. So gentlemen, next week we're going to be on the road. Cynthia and I are hitting the road for vacation at the week after 4th of July here. So we are going to bring the show from the road. We've talked about potentially Utah. We've talked about potentially Montana. We're actually going to dig into that tomorrow and decide, we're packing up the car. We're going to do some car camping, and we're going to kick some ass on the road next week. The show will air at the same time. Our goal is to find Wi-Fi or do a hotspot right from the MacBook Pro laptop. We're going to figure this out. It might be a little choppy. It might not be exactly the same, but we're going to have different background next week because we're going to be traveling. So we look forward to that. Cynthia, share with the guys what you're looking forward to next week, certainly.
Oh my gosh. I love the world shows up for us in so many ways, like with incredible metaphor. And so traveling and being in different environments, I love because it brings creativity to how to talk about these real human things between men and women. And that metaphor is a way to move energy in a way that sometimes like intellectual thinking doesn't do. It can bring understanding and peace and vision. And that's what thrills me about traveling, is gathering those metaphors along the way to create real movement and momentum and things off the radar screen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. What's off the radar? We don't know until we knock on that door and peek inside. I love that so much. Cynthia, if you'd help me say goodbye to our men for today and for this week, and we'll see you guys on Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain.
Thank you. And thank you for being here on this Friday. Tim, it was really nice to meet you. Thanks for joining in. And I so appreciate Jason and Jason. Hans, thank you for adding into the chat, and all of you who are here. Your energy truly makes a difference. It makes a difference to me. It makes a difference to gentlemen who watch this. It creates a new kind of radar screen for all of us. So thank you for your warriorness and your spear into the world.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with Cynthia completely. This is where we do our daily work together in a tribe of men, guys. Thank you so much. This has been the C-Note Show, brought to you by Great Men Move Mountains and greatmenmovemountains.com. If you'd like to check out our brand new men's group class, we're only accepting 6 men in, and we already have 3 spots filled. And within the first 48 hours, the 3 spots out of 6 filled. Go to greatmenmovemountains.com/relaunch and read all about the information there. I actually yesterday put up a little promo video of me talking about it as well. That's brand new. If you haven't checked that out, you can go back to the site and check that out. Ask us questions about that if you like. greatmenmovemountains.com/relaunch. Love that you guys are here. We'll see you on Monday at 11 a.m. Mountain. Ciao.
Bye.
I'ma tell you about a woman who's cold as tundra with some frozen eyes. I can tell by the way she moves that she cares, and it's lovely.